Hello, good morning, everybody. Hope I'm audible to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, very good morning to all of you. And I have also shared the slide. I'm on my screen, right? You can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So in the last class, I have tried to explain the concept of entropy. The concept of entropy, as we have learned, it is the measurement of uncertainty. Now, the uncertainty is coming in the context of selecting a target object. Say suppose there are many objects given to you, and if we ask you to select an object of a particular interest, then you may select the right object or you may not. So this way the uncertainty is coming into the picture. So in some sense, uncertainty is closely related to probability, but at the same time you should note that uncertainty and probability, they are not the same thing. Why they are not same, that we will be able to understand shortly. So this is the concept. So again I can repeat, if I ask you to guess the date of birthday of your friend, so here you have to select an object out of 365 dates. So here dates can be considered as the set of objects. Now you can randomly guess a date and it may matches, right, with the date of your, right, the right date of your friend, then it is fine. Otherwise it may not match also. So far this random, right, guessing is concerned, it is with uncertainty that we can write calculate as 1 by 365. Now we can continue the same concept to define the entropy more formally, more precisely. You can recall I was asking about we want to gather knowledge. Now, so why we want to gather knowledge? This is because we are learning, right? And as a process of learning, you have to gather knowledge. Now, how we learn actually, that means how we gather knowledge. You can think about a child, right? A child occasionally asks questions to his or her parents. Sometimes parents, father or mother, may feel disturbed, then say that you are too much talkative. Why you are asking so many questions? It is like this. So why a child asks question? Child asks question because whatever he or she sees here and there, from that nature, actually he or she wants to learn. Now here, as a process of learning, as we see, as another example I can tell you, say suppose in a basket, a number of vegetables are there. Child may know which vegetable it is, may not know. Then what child usually do? So he or she asks her mother, so what this vegetable is? Then mother say that this is called pumpkin. It is like this. So this way the child can learn that, okay, this vegetable is pumpkin. Now, as a process of learning, child correlate it that this is the feature, this is the size, this is the color, this is the texture, this is the smell, and like this. So by the process of learning, child acquires some features of an object and it stores in his memory. Later on, whenever other objects come into the picture, then he tries to correlate whether this object is similar to some objects that he has learned. If it is matches, then he is fine. If it does not match, then again he asks question. So this is why the repeated asking questions. Here, repeatedly, if we ask a question, then we shall be able to distinguish any object out of m different objects. I repeat it again. Suppose in a basket, m different fruits are stored. And then your question is that what is this fruit is called? One particular fruit you can, right? You can select and you can play a game that asking which fruit it is. Now, if you know the answer, you can say that, okay, this is an orange. If you don't know, then how you can, right, give the answer? Alternative way is that the player can ask, is it apple? You say no. Then he asks, is it mango? Then you say no. Then he repeat again the question, is it orange? Then you say no. Then whatever the fruits that he knows, he repeatedly try to ask the question, and then answer will be either yes or no. And whenever the answer is yes, then he can identify the object. Now this is one good example that you can follow, how the entropy in this way coming into the picture. Now here, as you know, entropy is what? We want to make from the uncertainty to make it certainty. So if we can say this is the object, then my entropy is 0. I'm very much certain. Uncertainty is 0, right? But if I don't know anything, then uncertainty is very large, high. For example, 365 date, uncertainty 1 by 365. Whether the baby will be, right, girl or boy, then uncertainty is 1 by 2, like this. So uncertainty somehow depends on how many total different objects out of which we have to select a particular object. So if m distinct objects are there, it looks that 1 by m will be the uncertainty. But it may not be that way, so, right? Let's come to the definition of entropy more precisely so that we can correlate how entropy can be considered as a measurement of uncertainty so far the information gathering is concerned. For an example, let us consider you have given m distinct objects, m say English alphabets or alphabets in Urdu language or in Telugu language, like, okay, m distinct object. And then you have to identify a particular object, and for which you are allowed to ask yes no question. Now consider for simplicity in discussion that m, the set of objects that is out of which you have to identify a target object, is exactly power of 2. So we can say m is equals to 2 to the power n for some value of n. Obviously n should be greater than or equals to 1. 1 is the lowest one because it is, in that case, out of 2 objects you have to. If n is 1, there is no, right, it is always certain. Now here, the definition of entropy, if we say the entropy of a set of m distinct values is the minimum number of yes no questions that is needed to determine an unknown values from the m possibilities. Now again, I turned the example that I told you about guessing the date. Here, you should not guess it. Rather, you will be allowed to ask question. Whether his date of birth is 25th December, answer will be yes or no. And this way, you have to go on asking the question until you can come to a target date. So here, it is out of m distinct values, which will be the minimum number of yes/no question that you should consider. That is actually because with minimum yes/no question, because you have to learn the knowledge as fast as possible. So you should not be allowed to ask any number of questions, but the minimum number of questions. Now, the minimum number of questions indicates the uncertainty measure. Right? If it is too uncertainty, then this minimum number of yes/no question will be too high. If it is less, then less. So again, I repeat, given a set of distinct objects, M, and you have to identify a target object, and this identification will be through asking a minimum number of yes/no question. So this is the entropy. Now, what is the entropy? What is the minimum number of yes/no question that is required to identify a target object out of m distinct object? Here also we assume that all m objects are distinguishable. Now let us consider an example. One example is, so it is a city quiz. So here the quiz is out of 8 cities, right? Which you have to give the answer which city is called city of joy. So 8 cities are like Bhopal, Bhubaneswar, Delhi, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Madras, and Mumbai. And you have to identify out of these 8 cities, which city is the city of joy. And the list of cities that is shown to you, they are, say, suppose in a dictionary order, as it is shown here. Now, so again, the quiz is how many minimum number of questions that you can consider to get your answer. There are 2 approaches. One is the brainless approach, brute force approach. So start with first city. You can ask, is Bangalore? Answer will be yes or no. If it is yes, then fine, you got the answer. If it is no, then asking question, is it Bhopal? If it is no, is it Bhubaneswar? And so on, so on. So you have to continue until you reach to your target answer. Right? So brute force approach, so as you see, can take how many minimum number of questions that you need? Out of 8? Yes. Using this brainless method, how many minimum number of questions that you should need? Anybody?
7.
7. Yeah, exactly 7. So 7 minimum number of questions it is required. Now, can you find a clever approach so that fewer number of questions is required, less than 7? You can think about it, right? You can find it. Many people, many students will find many solutions for this actually. But my answer should be how many minimum number of questions. So I can tell you one clever approach. The clever approach it is, here you divide all the cities into 2 groups first. In one group, say Bangalore, Bhopal, Bhubaneswar, and Delhi. In other group, other cities, set of cities are there. Then you can ask the question, is it Bangalore, Bhopal, Bhubaneswar, or Delhi? Your answer will be yes or no. If it is no, then you can ask, right, other groups. In other groups also, there are 4 cities where Madras, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Kolkata. Then you can ask, is it Madras or Mumbai? Again repeating into half. If it is no, then other group. whether Hyderabad, Kolkata. If it is no, then your answer, you got it. So, okay, it is Kolkata. Possibly you know about it. So this is a very popular algorithm called the binary search algorithm. Those are the students from CSE background, they know. So it is actually a binary search method is called. So each time you divide the list into two halves and then see whether your target element into this list or in other list. This way you can reduce it. Now let's come to the previous brute force approach. How many minimum number of questions on the average it is required? I'm telling you on the average because initially I assume that they are in dictionary order, but it can be any random order. So any random order if it is given, then your target city can be the first one, can be the last one also. Anyway, so the average number of questions that is required to identify a target answer is 4.375. So it is not exactly 7 number of questions minimum, because depending on the arrangement of the order, it is there. If it is in a dictionary order, maybe it is okay. It is like that, in less than 7 also. Because if your correct answer is Kolkata, then after 6 questions you will be able to hear. After maybe 5 questions you will be able to get your answer. It is like that. So average number of questions that is required in case of brute force approach is 4.375. So 4.37 questions as the number, it is actually denotes the number, we can take the upper ceiling. So it is 5. So 5 questions, okay? Now, according to this technique, how many minimum number of questions that it will take? So you will see that the minimum number of questions that it will take is, right? Anybody can say how many minimum number of questions that it will take? For this example, it is?
For this example is 3.
Exactly. It is 3. Now this 3 can be expressed like 8 is equals to 2 to the power 3. That is correct. Now, if I repeat the same game, instead of 8 cities, say 16 cities. Out of 16 cities, you have to target which city is called City of Happiness. Then the same game you can play, and you can again decide using brute force approach or using clever approach, and you can find that in that case it will take 4 minimum number of questions required. So out of 16, this is equals to 2 to the power 4. Likewise, if it is 32 different objects and you have to select a target object, then you will need minimum 5 number of questions there, where 32 is equals to 2 to the power 5, and this on, so on. Now, one point you can note that I'm taking the m number of objects, which is exactly 2 to the power, is a power of 2 actually. This is for simplicity, but we can prove that the same concept that also can be applicable for any m value, but that will be later, okay, part in the discussion. Now here, so minimum number of questions. So what is the minimum number of questions that is required in this case? Is 3. And this is actually your measure of entropy, uncertainty, right? As you see, the uncertainty will increase as the total distinct number of objects increases. So here we can come to a very good discussion about the entropy measurement. The minimum number of yes/no questions which is required to identify an unknown object from m, which is equals to 2 to the power n distinct objects, and assuming that all objects are equally likely possible object, is n. Right? Thus, if m is a power of 2, then entropy also can be expressed as a log to m. M is 32, so log to m is 5. M is 8, log to m is 3. It is like this. Now, so this is the entropy of m distinct objects to identify an unknown object is equals to log to m. Now you can recall I was talking about, so this is a measurement of uncertainty. And this measurement does not necessarily same as the probability whose value is 0 to 1, both inclusive. Here, as we see, it is actually minimum number of questions, so it can be an integer value also, which can be more than 1, greater than 1. But it is always a positive quantity, no negative, because minimum number, so number cannot be a negative value. So this way we learn very simple way to calculate entropy. Very simple, given m distinct objects, you have to identify an unknown objects. All objects are equally likely possible. Then what is the entropy? Entropy is log to m. And assuming that m is exactly a power of 2. I hope this is very clearly understood to all of you. So for the first lesson of entropy calculation. But in this first lesson, we have taken few assumptions. The first assumption is that m, the number of objects, which is exactly a power of 2. And second assumption is that they are equally likely possible object. That means a target object can be anyone. There is no bias. So we can search for a better calculation where all those assumptions is not necessary to be applicable. Now we shall discuss how these things are there. Before going to that discussion, I want to explain another way of entropy calculation. This entropy calculation, which I am going to discuss, it is actually from the information coding which Shannon has proposed. The idea it is the m distinct object that is given to you, they should be with some features. For example, m different fruits. So each fruits have its own features, right? And feature value can be anything. Feature value can be expressed by weight, can be expressed by categorical, can be expressed by nominal, whatever it is there. For simplicity again, let us consider all features are binomial attributes, right? Now, here, say m distinct object, and again consider m is exactly power of 2. Then, in order to distinguish m different objects, how many zeros and ones it is required to code it? So it is actually called coding. So coding means what are the different, right, number of zeros and ones that is required to uniquely code an object. For example, if it is 2 object, how many bits it is required, or how many attribute it is required to uniquely identify it? So only 1. If it is 4, then you can see it is 2. How? Now let's see, here is the idea that you can think about it. Here is the idea. Okay. So suppose you have coded, yeah, this is one example. That is what I want to, give it to you. So if you have 2 distinct objects and they can be categorized by their gender. Gender has only 2 binary outcome, 0 for female, 1 for male. So here, how many bits that is required to code the object? Only, right, 1 bit. And how many number of objects? M equals to 2. That is m equals to 2. This is same as 2 to the power n. If we express, then n equals to 1. Now let us consider your objects are 4 directions: south, west, east, and north. Now, how many bits that you need to code each direction? Now you see here m is equals to 4. which is equals to 2 to the power 2. And then 2 bits are required. How they can be coded? For example, north can be coded as 0, 0. East can be coded as 0, 1. West can be 1, 0 and 1, 1. And this is the minimum number of coding that you can do. Of course, you can use 8 different bits, right? That also you can do that, right? Here we just use the minimum number of bits that we can think to code each object uniquely. So is a 2 bits information that is required to code a direction. Similarly, if we extend it to 8 different colors, how you can code them? Violet can be coded 0, 0. Indigo can be coded 0, 0, 1. So here 8 objects. So m equals to 8, which is equals to 2 to the power 3. So 3 bits or 3 attributes which are required to define objects. Here objects are colors, right? So in general, if there are m objects and if m is exactly a power of 2 such that it is m is equals to 2 to the power n, then we can consider n bits to code each object to represent the object uniquely. Okay, it is fine. Now let's come how this information coding can help us so far our identification task is concerned, and that is to asking yes no question. Now say suppose here with an example you have to ask a question, what is the color of the sky? If you don't know answer, then you have to guess. So you can ask minimum number of questions, right? Then how many minimum number of questions? That you can use the bit information. This is actually the attribute. So the first attribute, you can say that whether first attribute is 0, then the answer will be yes or no. So, okay, so answer is yes. Then you didn't get the answer actually. So it is only that, okay, attempt. Next you say that whether it is 0 or 1, then it will say that it is, okay, is it 0 for the second information? Second bit is 0, then your answer will be no. Then you will answer that, okay, the second information is 1, you can say this 1, yes. Then you have to come to the third bit. Whether it is 0, then your answer may be yes. If it is yes, you got the answer. So here, only taking the attribute values each time, and then depending on the number of attributes that is required, it is exactly, okay, you have to test out all attribute values, then finally you can give it. And here the number of attributes that is required to define an object, as you see for m, it is actually n. So n is the minimum number of questions answer that is required to identify an unknown object. I hope this is clear, right? So it is actually this one. So this illustration, this discussion can lead to us an alternative, and it is also equivalent definition of entropy. The previous definition and the same definition, it is actually same. What is the definition now? We can write the entropy of a set of m distinct objects is the number of bits needed. Here I should say number of minimum bits needed to encode all the objects in most efficient way. So as I said, most efficient way, that is why it implies minimum number of bits required. That's all. If m is equals to 1024, that means out of 1024 objects, right, you have to uniquely code each object. So how many bits you should need? It is 10 bits. And if I ask you the question that, okay, to identify out of 1024 objects a target object, how many minimum number of questions that is required? Your answer will be 10. That's okay, fine. So this is one alternative definition, but it is the same. The previous calculation and then this calculation, they are same. Now, in case of first two calculations, the assumptions that m is exactly power of 2 power of, right, is some power of 2 to the power value, and they are equally possible. Any objects are equally likely possible. Now, equally likely possible case will be created later on. Now, next consider the M objects where M is not exactly, it is a power of 2. For example, M is 365 or M is equals to 7. You have to guess date of your friend or guess the day of your friend's birthday. So it is not exactly 2 to the power n. Now let's see how we can calculate entropy in that case. Entropy means minimum number of questions that is required to identify an unknown object out of M object where M is not exactly power of 2. So this will be definitely more, right, better. It is a better calculation than the previous calculation because we can relax one assumption here. Now I can start this with giving an example. Here another example. Say you have given 7 days: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And I guess a sequence of days. The sequence length can be greater than or equals to 1. If it is exactly 1, then it is the same problem, the guessing an unknown object. But here the problem, I have little bit make it complex. What is the complexity? That I guess a sequence. Say Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Then you have to give the answer that which sequence I have chosen, and then that is the target question actually, right? Target. Now definitely, and if we consider that in this sequence, any date can appear repeatedly. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. So k equals to 3, a sequence of 3 I can guess also. Or Sunday, Monday, again Sunday. That is also one sequence. Now you see how many such sequences are possible. Okay, this is a combinatorial problem which you can give it that the number of such sequence that is possible m to the power k. M is the total elements and you have to find a k sequence and they can be allowed in any order and repetition is allowed, then it will be m to the power k. This means that the my sequence that I have asked you to identify is out of m to the power k. So alternatively, I can say you have to identify a target object out of m to the power k distinct objects, because in this case, m to the power k is the distinct what is the possibilities of the sequences of all days. Again, the same game. The game is that you are allowed to ask yes, no question. So you can ask the question first, is it Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday? My answer will be yes or no. If it is yes, then you are very fortunate. You cracked it with only asking one question. But maybe that you are not so fortunate. So you can try it again with some asking another sequence, Sunday, Monday, Monday. So this way you can go on repeating question. Now let this minimum number of questions that is required to identify a unknown sequence, which is actually entropy in this case, is denoted as E. This is a symbol that I'm just asking it here. This is the entropy, that is the minimum number of questions that is required to identify a sequence of length k out of m different distinct objects. M objects means here m is 7. Okay, so the notation. So this is actually entropy. Now let's see for m equals to 7 and if we consider k equals to 6. So all possible sequences that is right, here in this case is 7 to the power 6, which is very large number, not so large number, but moderately large number, right? Then again, applying our previous concept. What is the previous concept? The entropy, the minimum number of questions that is required to identify an unknown object out of m object is log to m. So here also we can say this is the minimum number of questions that is required to identify your unknown sequence. Log 2 is equals to 11769. Okay, but in this case, I didn't tell that m is exactly 2 to the power of 2. Now here, these things that we can tell alternatively as the number of questions should be an integer value look like. So I can tell that is like this. So this is my entropy, that is the minimum number of questions that I want to identify a sequence of 6 objects out of, right, 7, right, objects that is selected is log 2 7 to the power 6. So this is actually directly coming from here, right? Now there is little bit mathematical fittings. Here we can see this is actually in general, if given m distinct objects and you have to select, you have to identify a sequence of length k, and this is actually the minimum number of questions that can be expressed because we have taken, it is a log value, and log value can be within this one. So it is actually taking the, it is actually ceiling expression and it is the floor expression. So this inequality, if you know little bit, okay, simple equality and maths and all these things, so it is simple to you to understand it. It is this one. Now this can be also little bit, right, expressed the same way equivalently, dividing both sides, taking k, because it is k is to the power, so k will come in log mean. So it is actually one expression that we can get it. So it is actually the expression, it is like this, and it is divided by k. So this is actually called the average, right, number of questions that is required to give the answer. So it is within the range log 2m to log 2m divided plus 1 by k. Now consider k is very large values. If k is very large values, obviously m is also large because the relation between m and k is that k should be less than or equals to m. So consider the very m is very large, so 1024 or whatever it is. Then in that case 1 by k can be ignored because it is a very small quantity. So what you can tell for a large values of k, again assumption, it is EMK, that is the minimum number of questions, and divided by k for per unit in the sequence. So average number of questions that is required to identify your unknown sequence is EMK by k, this is one. Now let's see what is the physical implication of this one. So here, as we have already learned about, EKM by k is the average number of questions that is required to determine each component in the sequence of k values, right? And if the k is very large, we can ignore it. So it is essentially come to the figure EKM is equal to log 2 mk. We can take as the question is integer, so forth. Now here for different, say m is 7. Consider m is 7, right? And for different sequence. Now here k can be also greater than 7 also. I'm sorry that I told you k should be less than equals to m. It is not right because I can take the sequence of arbitrarily very large also. For example, k can be 6, k can be 21 because my sequence can be any number of dates taking from the 7 objects. So that is what actually. Okay. So little bit, okay, please correct yourself that, okay, k can be any value, but it should be greater than or equals to 1. Okay. So this is the correction. Please note it. Now, so here for k equals to 6, m to the power k, that means how many distinct possible sequences are there, And if we take this log 2 mk, this will give this value which we have already checked the calculation. And taking this right ceiling, so this will equals to 17. And if we take this result, right, ek m by k, that means number of question divided by k. So this 17 divided by k, k is in this case 6. So it will come to 2.8333. Likewise, if k equals to 21, then there is a very large number of sequences is possible, which I could not calculate, and that is why I didn't show it here. But log 2 mk, that you can easily calculate, which can be obtained as this one. And then, so number of question it is 59. Now here average number of question that is required to determine each component in the sequence, that is also 2.8095. Similarly, if we increase the value of k to 1000, again it is a very large number of sequences are possible. Then log 2 value of mk, this is equals to this one, for which number of question we can tell this one. And here number of question divided by q is this one. Now here from this column you can see the number of question divided by k, that means average number of question that is required to identify each unit in the sequence is independent of the value of m. It is value of k. It is independent of the value of k, because I am changing the value of k, right? But this result is independent of the value of k. Now, what is this value? This value is exactly 2.8074, which is actually log 27. So if you have given m different possible values, out of which many sequence can be there, it is decided by that m values. So log 2m. So here this is a very important conclusion, is that number of question divided by q is approximately log 2 So it is there, and it is independent of k. Now this is in fact a very important observation, and which we can exploit so far the measurement of entropy is concerned. Here we can take, this is the entropy measurement in this case. So log, right? And the entropy calculation, therefore we can tell it about the entropy of a set of m distinct object is log 2m, even when, because in this case m is not exactly power of 2, where we have considered m is 7. So E equals to, E is the measurement of entropy, is log 2m. Now here surprisingly you can take it note down that the previous calculation was also log 2m when m is exactly power of 2. But even if m is not exactly power of 2, that is also, this calculation remains valid. So E is log 2m, and in that case you can take the ceiling value as it is minimum number of question it is there. Now, so here with which we have to identify a target objects are equally likely possible. That means any objects that can be asked to identify, and their probability is same. So in that case, if m is the total distinct object, the probability of selecting any one is 1 by m. But this is again another simplistic assumption. Next, we shall try to calculate the entropy when out of m objects, all are not equally probable. There may be some objects are highly probable, some objects are with low probability. It is like this. So let us consider Pi denotes the probability that ith objects needs to be asked. And obviously Pi for all objects I, if we take sum, so summation of I equals to 1 to m, Pi is equals to 1, and Pi value is in between 0 and 1, both inclusive, because it is probability. Now, having this specification, let us see how we can calculate entropy. Here, I can start with an example so that you can understand. For a simplified discussion, let us consider 4 distinct objects. They are denoted as A, B, C, and D. But 4 objects are not equally probable. The frequency that A will occur is 1 by 2. Frequency that B occurs 1 by 4. Frequency that C occur 1 by 8. And frequency that D will occur 1 by 8. Now you can take note down. So 1 by 2, 1 by 4, 1 by 8, and 1 by 8, the frequencies are expressed in the probability terms, so that summation of 1 by 2 plus 1 by 4 plus 1 by 8 plus 1 by 8 is equals to 1. So here P1 is 1 by 2. That is the probability that A will be asked. P2 is 1 by 4, probability that B will ask. P3 is the probability that C will be asked. P4 is the probability that D will be asked. M is 4 in this case. Now again, the information, coding information, we can code these 4 objects using minimum number of bits that is required is 2, because 4 objects, 2 to the power 2. So A can be coded as 0, 0, B can be coded as 0, 1, C can be coded as 1, 0, and D can be coded as 1, 1. Now again, the previous game that we can tell that, okay, we can ask the question whether this object is there or this object is there. Then here, so suppose with this coding information, on the average, how much minimum number of question answer that is required? How much minimum number of question means? You have to say that whether first bit is 0, then you have to second next bit is 0. Then that is actually minimum number of question answer that is required. This is exactly, it is 1 by 2 into 1 plus 1 by 4 into 2 plus 1 by 8 into 3 plus 1 by 8 into 3. This is equals to 1.75. So this is the minimum number of question answer required to identify an object if all objects are not of equally probable. If it is equally probable, all probability value is 1. So in that case, it is 1 by 2 is not coming. It is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 divided by total number of objects, it is 4. So you can get it. But here, with probability, this calculation comes into the figure 1.75 bits. This means the minimum number of questions that is required is 1.75. Okay, so here you can understand that if they are not of equally probable, if they are of equally probable, then it is actually 2 in the previous discussion. But if it is not equally probable, some are is high probability and some are is low probability, and depending on the probability values, it will come as the figure 1.75. Now the question here is that, can you do something in a better way so that still minimum number of questions that you can have using this? I mean, it can be maybe less than 1.75. Now let's see how we can do that. What you can do is that here, without any clever dissemination, we have considered that they let them be coded with equal number of bit information. So 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, in this case 2 bits information. But you know, there are some things with high probability. For example, A occurs with higher probability. So what you can do is that A can be coded with minimum number of bits. On the other hand, those are with lower probability, they can be coded with more number of bits. Here, in this example, this is another coding of the object. I can do coding any way. Okay. So here coding is A equals to 1, B 0, 1, C 0, 0, 1, and D 0, 0. Now here you can understand, first we can ask the question, if it is the first bit is 0, if it is no, then 1, then okay, you got the answer. In case of if it is yes, then you can ask the second question. The second bit is 0. If it is no, then you can ask 1. Then you can got the answer that it is B. Now here you see, this is a clever way of coding by which we need minimum number of questions that is required. Now if you can apply this one and then it is actually, we see here, this is the probability that A will be asked, and then the minimum number of questions that is required to identify A is 1. So this is actually the number of questions that is required to identify if it is asked A. Now here, if it is asked B, then probability that it will be asked is 1 by 4 multiplied by the number of question answer that is required to identify B is this one. Similarly, here, probability that C will be asked 1 by 8, and then minimum number of questions that is required to identify this C is 3, and this is for D. Now this is 1.75 bit. Now this is actually the clever approach, and according to this clever approach, the minimum number of question answer that is required is 1.75. And if you can find any better approach, then definitely you will be nominated for awarding Nobel Prize. This is actually minimum, and nobody can think any better number than this number that I can tell you. Okay, if you can challenge me, okay, it is your right. I can definitely take a challenge for that. Now it's okay, fine. So this is the minimum number of questions that is required there. Now again, you can think about, I used two modalities. One is called the variable length coding, and another is called the fixed length coding. So in the previous case, where the minimum number of question answer that is required equals to 2, consider that irrespective of the probability, let them code with the same number of bits. So 2 in that case. However, if we can take the variable length coding, but the variable length coding is the one because it is not uniquely can be defined. For example, this is the one variable length coding. This is also another alternative variable length coding. This is also an alternative. Now, if you take this example, then you will be able to get the minimum number of questions, that is 3.875. If this is the coding technique that you can follow to code each object uniquely, then it will take 2. And if you take this one, then it will take 1.75. You can check it with the previous calculation, then you can find it. Now here is again problem that what should be the best way of coding the M distinct object with minimum information or with the entropy that actually minimum. So this is the answer given by a famous scientist. He is John Huffman. So that is the question that I told you. It is called the. In electronics, students possibly know about Huffman coding. Those are the students from CSE department or in IT, right? Having IT background, they know what exactly the Huffman coding it is there. If you don't know Huffman coding, it is very interesting topic. So search the net, you can find very interesting discussion, and you can learn about it. So Huffman coding is the coding of M according to some efficient way of coding it. So Huffman coding gives an efficient way of coding the M distinct object depending on the probability of occurrence of the object. So here the rule is, those are the objects are highly probable, let them code with minimum number of bits. Those are less probable, they have fewer number of bits, and so on. Understand this idea about it. The messages are coming from your end. Could you please mute your microphone? Okay, I can take another 4 or 5 minutes to conclude this class today. I'm almost at the end of, so far the entropy calculation is concerned. Now here, what is the information that I got it? Very interesting information. If I take in a generalized form how you got it, this actually it is there. If an object starts with the frequency, it is the probability, you can say P, then the most efficient way to represent it with by P bit. And this is actually the information coding which is influenced by Shannon, and later on solved by Huffman. So this is an important information, right? So according to the probability of the occurrence is 1 by P. So log to 1 by P. Okay. Now, extending this idea, the entropy that we can calculate, it is the formula which we have already considered in the example. So Pi, that probability that the object will be asked, and log 2 1 by P is the minimum information that we can represent it to code it. That means it is the minimum number of questions that is required, and taking the sum for all occurrences. So this will give you the average minimum number of questions that is required to identify an unknown object out of M object. So here in this case, I didn't take any assumption regarding the values of M. It can be 2 to the power n. It cannot be exactly equals to 2 to the power n, right? And also all objects are not equally probable. They are with probability like Pi, where the probability of each objects are like this one. Now, this is in fact a very important calculation. What is the important calculation? Calculation of entropy. The calculation of entropy is that you have to identify an unknown object out of M object, where M is not exactly 2 to the power n, and that is also the objects are not equally probable, any probability, then entropy can be calculated this one. Now, this is also alternatively can be expressed this formula, because 1 by Py is a negative value, so taking negative, and E is always a positive quantity. Now, this implication is very straightforward and also applicable to so far our data is concerned. Our data that is available in the form of a table. So what the table includes? Table includes set of attributes, and one attribute is called the class attributes. So if your objects are distributable among k classes, are C1, C2, Ck, and Pi denotes the probability that an objects belong to a particular class Ci, then E, the entropy of identifying an unknown object, will be minus I equals to 1 to m summation Pi log 2 Pi. Now here you see Pi, what is the probability that a particular object belong to class C1, that can be considered, it is exactly the prior probability which you have already known it. So Pi is nothing but the prior probability. And then knowing the prior probabilities of, right, k different set of objects, we shall be able to calculate what is the entropy. Now this is an example that you can check it out. So this is a training data. Here the 3 class level, and these are the different attributes. Here all the attributes are categorical, which although represent as a 1, 2 form, it is a binary, it is also binary, all are binary attributes. And then for this object, we shall be able to calculate entropy, which is like this. So entropy calculation, as you can see, it is this one. Extending the same discussion, you can check it. So 4 by 2, 4, that means the probability, prior probability that the record belong to the class 1, and this is the class 2, and this is the class 3. And then is a Pi log 2 Pi formula, which can give you the result, this one. So what we can say that entropy of this table, right, is 1.3261. This way, any table, if it is given to you, then you will be able to apply this entropy calculation to find what is the uncertainty to, right, identify an unknown question, unknown object, unknown record. Now this is the concept of the entropy and then entropy calculation. These two concepts are very important and key concepts. The key concepts which are used to build an efficient decision tree. So in our next class, I shall discuss how this concept of entropy and entropy calculation can be used to build an efficient decision tree. There are 3 algorithms I will cover in my classes. So ID3, C4.5 and CUT. So okay, let's join next class next Monday, where we shall discuss that 3 different decision tree building algorithm. So this is actually the learning algorithm according to the graph structure of the model. Okay, thank you very much. And if you have any question further, any questions from your end, please?